Good morning. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning and welcome to the May 10th, 2018 meeting for the Shawnee County Board of Commissioners. My name is Kevin Cook. I serve as the chair. Joining me today is Commissioner Shelley Bueller. Good morning.
Good morning.
And Commissioner Bob Archer. Good morning.
Good morning.
We missed you last night, Commissioner Bueller, but we saved broadband to come back in June or July for you.
Very good. I'll look forward to that.
Then, if we can begin with our first item.
Consent agenda?
There are a number of items on the consent agenda. I think we saved them all up for today. So there's 13.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
New business, A, County Clerk, number 1, consider all voucher payments.
We have vouchers totaling $929,067.34. Capers is the largest amount with $292,315.16. Second is the detention facility. Largest amount there is with Horizon Health, but total is $263,550.27. We have a large amount of jurors that are also being paid. Holding counts is $75,278.84, and that's with, of course, the Department of Revenue in the state of Kansas. So I have no questions. Move approval.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Number 2, consider correction orders.
I'll move for approval of the correction orders.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item B, corrections. Number 1, consider authorization and execution of Contract C-154-2018 with the American Correctional Association, ACA, for an audit of the Juvenile Detention Center in order to reinitiate reaccreditation with funding of $15,000 from the detention budget.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Cole, Shawnee County Department of Corrections. This is a contract that we have met with Jim Crowell and the County Councilor regarding legality and form, but this is just for our, to go back in front of American Correctional Association for reaccreditation. We were accredited 3 years ago, and during that time, for those past 3 years, we've had to collect information. Not only does it mean that we have to have the policy in place, we have to provide actual documentation that our practice is consistent with that. That with us being accredited, it isn't about articles or trophies or things on the wall, but this puts us in the top 1% of jails out there in the United States that meet the highest level of standards to how to do correctional health care, life standards, life safety issues, food service, and best practices in corrections. This was a decision and a vision that we've had for many years, and we're still working toward doing this on the Adult Detention Center. We haven't got there yet, different standards, but this is just for us to go back, to have outside auditors come in, and to be able to spend the next 3 days when they do come in, which will probably be later this year, and turn everything upside down. So we do have the money. This is an expensive initiative, but we do believe this is very worthwhile and something that we believe our community deserves as an accredited facility. So,
Brian, 2 years ago when we received the accreditation, there was a lot of work that went into that. And then we've come out from that. What sort of initiatives have we seen? What improvements have we had from that?
Oh, we've seen a number of improvements. A lot of it coming to how we deal with American Disabilities Act, our mental health services, our suicide prevention. We've seen better standards on how we log emergencies, how we log the daily activities of those in the modules. We have seen the assistance through lawsuits, being able to people to come in and to assist us with say, look, we're here, we see what they do to assist us. It helps us with grants, it helps us with funding, you name it, it's out there, and it's helped us on the juvenile side. And also, it's helped us to move forward in a lot of our programming with the jails, because juvenile detention centers, all detention centers are very expensive to build. And so this gives us alternatives to incarceration, but helps us to set up our programs. And this even touches to how we hire staff and everything. So they come in and look at, to make sure we have programs and things for staff as well.
So as a department head, it's your estimation that the $15,000 is money well spent?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I'll be back when it comes time for the adult. Yes.
Any other questions for Director Cole?
I have none. I'll move approval of the contract.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Thank you very much.
Item C, Sheriff's Office. Number 1, acknowledge receipt of correspondence from Sheriff Jones indicating he has terminated a contract with Iron Mountain and agreed to pay for removal and transportation of records currently in storage at a cost of $8,400.
Good morning, Commissioners. Captain Hubler with the Sheriff's Office. Really quickly, I would like to mention that 2 and 1 are probably a little bit out of order, in the sense that 2 is the contract for the new storage facility, which subsequently then leads us to number 1, the costs that are associated with removal of all of our items from Iron Mountain. Iron Mountain, as most people know, recently acquired Stax, which is formerly known as Jayhawk File and Storage. And the Sheriff's Office determined that it was in our best interest to, if there was an alternative that was local where we could keep our files locally, to be able to do that, because there are occasions when we have to have immediate access to our files. Iron Mountain made their desire known to move all their storage, record storage, to Kansas City, which would make immediate retrieval of those items at least cumbersome at best. And at least a lot more time consuming, whether it's for us or for them. It was pretty convenient for us for the years that Jayhawk and Stax was just right down the road, and we could just drive a couple blocks and pick up our records if we needed them. But with that going away, the sheriff has just determined that we will go with underground vaults and storage, which is housed locally up in the North Industrial Park, and we'll still have that access. This is just the cost to remove the items from Iron Mountain, just Iron Mountain's cost to put all our items together, which are still here in Topeka, and then we'll put them in underground vaults and storage.
So, Captain, the 2,400 boxes that we're talking about, are these case files, are these personnel files? I mean, is it just everything for the operations that we would have in storage?
The answer to your question is yes. It's all of those and more. There are certain things that we have to keep track of with the Historical Society for different amounts of time. There's personnel files over there. There's case files. There's documentation from fugitive warrants. There's just a myriad of files that we are required to keep, depending on the severity level of the charges. I will tell you that the sheriff and I have talked at length about going through some of those files and seeing if we can get that footprint down a little bit smaller. But there's an awful lot of things that I think and the sheriff believes are in our best interest to keep them for as long as we can.
Okay. And this is beyond what we would have capabilities at Shawnee County to house?
Yes. I did a quick, myself and Lieutenant Reynolds did a quick study on the amount of boxes and what room it would take. And if you've been to the law enforcement center in the big break area that we have downstairs, it would fill that up 8 feet high completely. And subsequently, you wouldn't be able to get to all the boxes except for the outside ones. So yes, it is beyond our storage capabilities.
Okay. Any other questions for the captain?
No, I have none.
All right. I'll move to acknowledge receipt of the correspondence.
A second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our second item.
Number 2, acknowledge receipt of correspondence from Sheriff Jones indicating he has entered into a one-year agreement, Contract C-155, 2018, with Underground Vaults and Storage for storage of approximately 2,405 boxes at a monthly rate of $360.75.
Good morning again, Commissioners. As previously stated, this is a one-year contract with underground vaults and storage to store all of our boxes. It is at a significantly lower rate than what we even had with Iron Mountain and Stax Jayhawk. So knowing full well that if we left our items with Iron Mountain for any longer, they would be moved, and then we'd have an additional incurred expense to retrieve those items from Kansas City as opposed to here. Underground Vaults and Storage has also agreed to accept those items with no initial upfront acceptance cost, which is a significant savings to the Sheriff's Office in the county.
Any additional questions for the captain?
I'll move to acknowledge receipt of the correspondence.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you very much, Captain.
Thank you very much.
Our next item.
Item D, Treasurer, number 1, acknowledge receipt of Contract C-156, 2018, amendment to C-143, 2017, with Beverly Post for lease of the property at 5938 Southwest 17th Street, Suite 500, extending current contract to March 31, 2020, at a rate of $3,911.43 per month.
Good morning, Commissioners. Larry Moss, Shawnee County Treasurer. This is just an extension of the lease for the annex on 17th Street. It's due to expire next February. I've extended that for 13 months to March of 2020. All the other parts of the contract remain the same.
This has proved fairly popular with consumers being able to just go into the annex as opposed to the courthouse.
About 55 to 60% of our customers like to go to 17th Street. It's a great location for us. It's worked out very well for us.
And I recognize in the contract that there was some improvements done to the parking lot there. It's been some concerns with the parking lot.
Yeah, that was the responsibility of Beverly Post, and because of the weather, that kept getting postponed, but I think about 2 weeks ago they got that fixed. There's a lot of traffic. There's only one entrance into there, and so there's a lot of traffic that comes in and out of there between her business and the annex. So that's been repaired 3 times in the last 3 years. It's a kind of continuous problem down in that whole area. If you look, they've had trouble with the streets. I think the soil there is not real good for asphalt streets. So.
I think in the future, if we've talked privately, but if we're able to find a location more centrally located, closer to the car dealerships, so people could get possibly one-day tags or instant tags, I think that would be a big convenience for the consumers as well.
Well, and that's one of the reasons I've only extended this lease for 13 months, because, as you know, our floor space plan is under review, and so I want to remain flexible. I need to ensure continuity of service out there, but at the same time, I want to be in a position, if things fall right, that we can do some things with the annex and maybe the office down here. So,
Any other questions?
No, I'll move approval of the contract.
Motion for approval of the contract by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you very
Thank
much. Our next item.
Item E, Parks and Recreation, number 1, consider approval of request for out-of-state travel for one employee to attend the Rec Camp Workshop in Broomfield, Colorado from June 5 through 8, 2018, at a cost not to exceed $1,900 from the department's operation budget.
Morning, Commissioners. Olivia, Parks and Rec. In front of you, you have a request to send one employee to a rec camp held in Boulder. This opportunity is a tour-based, very interactive educational experience focusing on recreation center design and sustainable management. We believe this opportunity is what is envisioned by our master plan. It will help us in planning to redesign and rebrand our centers around our core program areas that draw from the entire county rather than just neighborhoods. Our recent work at Abbott Community Center in partnership with Boys and Girls Club and what is currently going on and initiated at Hillcrest is just the beginning and this opportunity will help us continue to build for the future.
Okay, very good. Any questions?
No, I support. I'll move approval.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you very much. We look forward to the travel report.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Item F, Appraiser, number 1, consider approval of request to post and fill a soon-to-be vacant Appraiser 1 position at a starting annual salary, including benefits, of $48,184.88.
Morning, Commissioners. Steve Bauman, County Appraiser. We have an Appraiser 1 in our office that after 29 years decided it was going to be enough. So on June 29th, he's planning on retirement. This request is to fill that position, very necessary in our office to continue the job that we do. I have ran this through Angela Lewis with Human Resources, and I believe she's on board with it as well. So,
Steve, if you would extend to Milton our thanks for 29 years of service. That's a long time to be with any organization, and he's a very dedicated employee, and so thank you, Milton, for your service, if you're watching, and I'll move for approval to authorize the filling of the spot.
I'll second.
thank you.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Thank you, Steve.
Appreciate it.
Our next item.
Item G, Court Administration, number 1, consider approval of request to solicit an RFP for demolition and reconfiguration of the bench in the Division 11 courtroom, room 301.
Good morning, Charles Hydovitz, District Court. We have evaluated Division 11 bench, and we find that there are a number of security flaws in it. Specifically, the judge is located right next to the entrance to the courtroom. Her back is to the door. People can look in through the window and see her computer screen. Even with a privacy filter on it, it really doesn't block those images. And for those reasons, along with our continued operation and improving the AV in that courtroom, where the jury box is located and where we plan to put the AV, they can't see the AV. So for those reasons, we want to reconfigure the bench in line with the 2014 study prepared by the National Center for State Courts. And so in doing so, we want to be able to provide you with a firm number when we come back at the end of the year for capital improvement project funds, rather than over or underestimate what those costs may be. We want to be able to give you a firm number. So we're just asking for us to be able to go out to bid and talk to local contractors and see what they can come up with.
So this is not an immediate request to start on the construction, but rather just to find out what the cost is so we can budget that for the next year.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions?
No. I'll move approval.
I'll second. Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller, second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Our next item.
Item H, Information Technology, number 1, consider approval of request to offer the Assistant Network Administrator position to an exceptionally qualified person at range 16, step 6, for a salary, including benefits, of $71,123.12.
Good morning, Commissioners. Pat O'Blander with the Information Technology Department. This is the Assistant Network Administrator position that we would like to extend an offer to a well-qualified candidate for. This position has been open for approximately 9 months, during which we have conducted several interviews with a lot of really good people, but none of which fit all of the criteria that we were looking for this position. We have identified the candidate that hit on a lot of the points that we are looking for this position. It is a difficult to fill position. It's difficult to retain. But this individual has a lot of experience that very closely matches what we do here in Shawnee County. So in order to make this work really well for us and for the candidate, we would like to fill this position, or get your permission to fill this position at range 16, step 6. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those. Additionally, we have looked at the budget for the IT department for this year and for out years to ensure that this would not negatively impact our ability to fund this position and our payroll positions. We've worked through the HR office and with Betty Griner and Audit Finance to ensure that this is something that we can do within the IT budget. And I do feel like this is a very good way to ensure that this position remains filled for the foreseeable future. If you have any other questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Any questions?
No, I'll move approval.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you very much,
Thanks,
Pat.
Pat.
Thank you, Commissioners.
And now for the Tom Block agenda. Our next item.
I've already got enough grief, Commissioner.
Item I, Public Works Solid Waste. Number 1, consider approval of request to fill 3 road maintenance staff positions and any subsequent positions that may become vacant as a result of filling of these positions at a salary range of $49,406.74 for each, with funding from the 2018 Public Works Road Maintenance budget.
Commissioners, Tom Block with Public Works and Solid Waste, and since these next 11 items are mine, I'm not going to repeat my name every time in an effort to speed things up. And then also, if you want to pass all these without any discussion, you'd make a lot of impact. But this first request is a Public Works item, and as mentioned, we have 3 people who actually decided they want to pursue a different line of work, so we're requesting to fill those positions, especially as we now come into the construction season, to keep our crews at full force. As mentioned, the salary including benefits is $49,406.74, and we do have it in our budget, so if there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
And Tom, in addition to these, you are still looking for some intermittent employees for the summer work crews?
Yes, we are. We are actually looking for quite a few still. We probably have got about half of what we would like to have.
Okay. I mean, it'd be good to make sure we get out to our press and public that we are still looking for those employees' positions. So if there are qualified individuals looking for summer employment, this would be a good opportunity. Any questions regarding these 3 positions?
Move approval.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Number 2, consider approval of request to award bid to Bettis Asphalt for purchase of hot mix asphalt at a rate of $41.80 per ton, subject to asphalt oil adjustment calculation, at an estimated expenditure of $752,400 from the 2018 budget.
Commissioners, this is a Public Works item, and as mentioned, we went out for bid for bulk asphalt. We received 2 bids, with the low bid coming in from Bettis Asphalt. We have used their product in the past. They provide a very good product, so it's our recommendation that we award the bid to Bettis. If there's any questions, I'm happy to try to answer them.
Questions regarding this item?
Price of asphalt going up with
You know,
petroleum-based products.
Actually, the increase we saw from last year, I think it might be maybe about $1 higher per ton, but it actually was less than I expected it to be. Now, with this asphalt oil adjustment, they could in the summer, and what that is to get a fair price, and this happened, to give you a little bit of background, back when oil prices really shot up back in like 2008, 2009. We bid a project, a Croker Road project actually, and we had several thousand tons of asphalt being placed. And the way it works is the contractors would bid their asphalt price with oil. There's oil that's used to make the asphalt. And during that construction season, from the time we bid it, because I don't know if it like doubled or whatever it was, but it became very expensive. Well, we were paying them the price they bid based on the asphalt oil price at the time it was bid. By the time they placed it, so we bid it, say, in January or February. By the time they placed it in June, July, and August, the cost of producing asphalt had really skyrocketed. Well, the contractor really took it in the shorts on that one. So that precipitated us to put in our bidding that we keep a monthly price of what asphalt oil is, and then based on the mix design, you know how much oil is going to be put into that each ton of asphalt. If it goes up or down, we will adjust what we pay them for the asphalt. But what it does is it gives us, they can bid it fairly, and they will be basically compensated if commodities markets for oil goes up, or we will benefit, and we have done this, benefited also when it has actually gone down. So it's just so that they can bid a fair price, and so that's why that asphalt adjustment is in there. But again, getting back to your question, we haven't seen the cost go up yet, but we are still not in the main construction season, so it still may creep up as we go along. At least the cost of the oil will. And then we do a calculation to figure out how this tonnage price would adjust, but it doesn't it won't be drastic. It might be a couple bucks here or something like that, but it's not like it's going to double in price of the asphalt, just because the oil is like maybe 5% of the cost of the asphalt, so.
Any other questions?
I'll move to approve the request.
Second.
Motion to approve the request by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Number 2, consider authorization and execution of Contract C-157, 2018, amendment to Contract C-191, 2010, with David Baum doing business as Greenpoint Construction and Demolition Processing Center to provide disposal services to the Shawnee County Solid Waste Department for construction and demolition material, extending the current contract terms for an additional year through April 25, 2019, with an adjustment of 56 cents a ton as a result of the annual tipping fee increase charge at the landfill.
Commissioners, this is a solid waste item, and as mentioned, we oftentimes will bring our construction and demolition debris that we may collect to Greenpoint because it's so much closer than bringing it up to the Rolling Meadows landfill. In the end, that is actually a savings to us because we eliminate all those transportation costs. The fees that they ultimately then take a lot of this material up to the landfill, but the tipping fees they pay to dispose of it's been going up every year, and it's reached a point where they requested that we adjust their contract to help alleviate some of those additional costs that they are having to pay. They're just passing them through on to us. We think it's fair. So that is our recommendation, that we approve this and we extend it for another year. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Any questions?
No.
I'll move approval of the contract.
A second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Number 4, consider approval of payment of invoice from Foley Equipment as a sole source provider for repair of the hydraulic pump and valve replacement for a loader at a cost of $28,365.57, with funding from the Public Works Equipment Maintenance Fund.
Commissioners, this is, as mentioned, this is a public works item. We had one of our major pieces of equipment have a fairly significant failure of a part. After evaluating what it would take to replace this piece of equipment, which we believe would be around $230,000, even though this repair is quite high, we felt it was much better way to go because the unit is still in pretty darn good shape. So, so our request is to have the approval to allow this, have this work be done and pay the invoice. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Tom, this is for what type of piece of equipment?
It's a loader, a large loader.
Okay. And then the cost of replacement of the equipment was $230,000 estimated?
Yes.
And then the cost of the repair is about $28,000?
Yes.
So we're just about 10% of the overall cost value of the equipment, just to repair it.
Yeah, it was a pretty major failure of the parts that have gone, but like I said, the rest of the components we believe are in pretty good shape, so that's why we are recommending that we do the repair.
You know, I don't think we always think about what the cost of equipment is. I mean, you think about your car and what it costs to repair your car, but, you know, parts are expensive, and you put it in perspective as to what your car value is, and 10% of your car to get it replaced versus 10% of this equipment. So I'll move approval.
I'll second and note that it is a sole source with Foley.
Yes, it is.
Correct.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Number 5, consider approval of request to fill a solid waste collector supervisor position as a classified non-exempt position at a pay range of $67,417 to $73,452, including benefits, depending upon experience and qualifications.
Commissioners, this is a solid waste item, and one of our collection route supervisors is going to retire. It is an important position, and we would like to refill it. So that is the request. This funding is included in the budget, so we can handle it being replaced. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Any questions? I'll move for approval.
I'll second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook for approval, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Number 6, consider approval of request to award bid to Armor Equipment for purchase of one roll-off truck in an amount of $109,713, including a trade-in allowance with funding from the solid waste budget.
Commissioners, this is a solid waste item, and as mentioned, we took bids for this piece of equipment, and we had 3 vendors submit a total of 7 bids, and it is our recommendation that we award it to Armor Equipment. If there's any questions, happy to try to answer them.
Just reminding the public that solid waste is an enterprise fund and not general tax fund.
Thank you.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Number 7, consider approval of request to award bid to Shawnee Mission Ford for the purchase of a solid waste container maintenance tote truck at a total cost of $34,360 with funding from the solid waste budget.
Commissioners, this too is a solid waste item, and we went out for bids for this vehicle. We received 2 bids, and it is our recommendation that the award be granted to Shawnee Mission Ford, as they were the lowest and most responsive bid for $34,360. Again, solid waste, no tax monies are involved. So any questions? I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Any questions regarding this item?
I'll move approval.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Number 8, consider approval of request to award bid to Truck Component Service for the purchase of 3 solid waste rear load trucks at a total cost of $355,140 with funding from the solid waste budget.
Commissioners, again, solid waste item. We received 8 different bids from 3 different vendors. 3 vendors submitted 8 different bids. They submitted multiple bids. Again, the lowest and most responsive came from Truck Component Services for $355,140. Again, solid waste funds, no taxes. Our recommendation that it be approved. Any questions? Be happy to answer them.
Any questions regarding this item?
Move to approve the request.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Archer to approve the request, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Number 9, consider approval of request to award bid to Shawnee Mission Ford for the purchase of 2 solid waste supervisor trucks at a total cost of $54,382 with funding from the solid waste budget.
Commissioners, again, the solid waste item, we are replacing our 2 supervisors' trucks who have between 200 and 300,000 miles each on them. We received 4 bids from vendors. The low came in for the 2 came in from Shawnee Mission Ford at $54,382. It is our recommendation that this award be granted to them. Again, it's solid waste, so no tax monies will be involved. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Any questions regarding this item? I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Number 10, consider authorization and execution of Contract C-158-2018 with Terracon Consultants, Inc. for professional design service for methane gas monitoring for $9,000, groundwater sampling for $7,000, and leachate system assessment and seepage sampling for $2,330 at the abandoned Shawnee County landfill for a total cost of $18,330 annually with funding from the solid waste budget.
Commissioners, this is a solid waste item also. As you're aware, the county has an old landfill out near Southwest 21st and Hodges Road that was closed many years ago, and after a landfill is closed, you have to do some monitoring of that ground just to make sure that it's keeping the environment safe until it is given, like, I guess, a clean bill of health. We are working towards that. But this is, we've been working with Terracon to do some mitigation of that property for the past several years. So they are very familiar with what's going on. And this is really just add on to the scope that they've been doing. But this is annual, some annual work that we need to have done in coordination with KDHE to keep ourselves in compliance with that mitigation. And so it is our recommendation that this contract with Terracon be approved, and this has been run through legal, and it meets form legality. So if there's any questions, and again, funding from this would come from the Solid Waste Department, so no tax money is involved in this one either. So any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions regarding this item?
Move to approve the contract.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Archer to approve the contract, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Number 11, consider authorization and execution of Contract C-159-2018 with Nutraject, Inc. for lagoon cleaning and land application of biosolid materials for sanitary sewer lagoon districts number 2 and number 6 at a cost of $202,196 with funding from the Sewer District number 2 and Sewer District number 6 accounts.
Commissioners, this is the Public Works item. Public Works is in charge of administering and monitoring and managing a few sewer lagoon districts out in the county. These are two districts that have been in place, I believe, since the 60s. As time goes on and sludge builds up every once in a while, you need to have them cleaned. This contract with Nutraject would do that. This is a, well, it'll be the last time any of us will be involved in a cleaning. Once you clean them, it will last for decades before we'll have to do it again. But so this is a once in a decades type of item, I guess, and we collect fees from those that utilize these lagoon systems, sewer fees. Those are collected to use to pay for services like this. So that is how they will be paid. Again, it is not tax money that would be involved. It would be the sewer fees from those users of these systems. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions regarding this item?
No, I have none. I'll move approval of the contract.
Motion by approval of the contract by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Thank you, Tom.
Tom Block signing out.
Our next item.
Administrative Communications.
This is an opportunity for any department heads, members of the public to address the commission on any issues of information or questions you may have.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kellen Seitz, Spectre Venue Management, the Kansas Expo Center. As promised, today we have another event announcement. It will be a concert. That concert will be Mannheim Steamroller coming Friday, December 7th. We're very excited about acquiring this event. It has been out of the market for the past several years, so excited to get it back in Topeka where it belongs. So the tickets for that will go on pre-sale and on sale mid-June. So stick with us on that. And then just a reminder for everybody who might not have heard, we announced Paw Patrol this week as well, a family show which will be taking place mid to late July. So look for that one. If you have kiddos like I do, I'm sure they're already chomping at the bit.
Yeah.
So
Paw Patrol's
Thank
big.
you.
thank you.
Good morning. Vince Fry, President, Downtown Topeka Incorporated and the Greater Topeka Partnership. Well, that's exciting stuff and something we can look forward to. But this Saturday, we have the Country and Food Truck Festival downtown at 9th and Kansas. 4 great country acts. As you know, we've done a Jazz and Food Truck Festival for years with thousands of people. We thought, well, if we can draw that many for jazz, let's see what we can do for country. And we'll also have a rock festival in July. So excited about what's happening at the Expo Center, but Saturday, downtown Topeka, and it's all free. Okay, thank you.
Sunday's Mother's Day. Take your mother out day early.
Good morning, Charles Heidovitz, District Court. I'm very pleased to announce to you today that we are introducing our new therapy dog program. We are the first court in the state of Kansas to have such a program. We join 32 other states in the country that offer this type of therapeutic initiative. This is entirely volunteer-based. There is no cost to anyone whatsoever. I've been working with the judges and the district attorney's office and the canine handling teams over the last 6 or 7 months to get this ready to go. This is going to benefit victims of violent crime, sexual abuse, individuals with limited or diminished mental capacity to withstand the rigors of the trial system. So we hope that we never have to use it, but unfortunately, that's probably not going to happen. And so it's going to be there to help those in need. So there you go.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Larry Moss, Shawnee County Treasurer. Today's May the 10th, which means taxes are due today. Until midnight tonight, you can still pay online. You can mail it in. If it's postmarked today, we will honor that date, or you can walk in. We do not process payments at the annex, but you can drop the payment off, and we will transmit those down to downtown. So today, May 10th. Thank you.
Thank you for that news. Any other department heads or members of the public, this is your opportunity to address the commission. Yep.
Mr. Chairman and members of the commission and gathered ladies and gentlemen, I'm Joan Wegman. I'm a resident of the county. I live up by the Shawnee North Community Center, which we enjoy very much, and been up there about 16 years. When I got up this morning and read the newspaper on my digital device and saw the editorial, and I'd seen the article in Tuesday's paper, I thought, okay, I'm going to come and express my views about Camp Daisy. I'm loosely the chair of a group called Friends of Camp Daisy. We formed it when we got word that the council, the Girl Scout Council, was going to sell the camp. It really came about because a lot of people called and said, Joan, do something. You've been involved with the council for a long time. And I have. I was president of the council when we built the horse barn. I was on the national board, and I've continued to be a long-term volunteer. So after a lot of negotiation with the council, it became clear that they were not going to give us the camp to operate, and I had been contending that it's an asset for Shawnee County. It's an asset that belongs to the community, and the council should have let us continue to operate it. That didn't happen. They felt they couldn't do that, and so we began some negotiations with some fine folks in Shawnee County Parks and Rec. Mr. John Knight was very accommodating to us, as well as others on his staff. And somewhere in January, that didn't go very much further, and you all probably know more about that than I do. And so when I saw the article this morning, I thought, okay, let me at least come down and answer a couple of questions that have been raised in the dialogue. First of all, may I give this to the clerk?
Absolutely.
This is a list of the improvements that were made. This is evidence, I believe, of how much investment has been made over the last several years. It's $877,768.68. This came from the Girl Scout Council because I was part of a fundraising group that was trying to raise money for it. I think Friends of Daisy, a loose group, but we are incorporated as an organization under the laws of the state of Kansas. I believe that we thought we could either lease it from the council, they declined to lease, or some way operate and put together a program that would make it available. But it needs to have widespread access by the public to make it financially feasible. I went through and did some study on the numbers that they had given us at that time. I know Mr. Knight had copies of those. I suspect you all have seen those as well. And when we started looking at what kind of model could we use to put it together, we looked at a camp in Douglas County that's called Hidden Valley. It's no longer owned by the Girl Scouts. It's owned by Friends of Hidden Valley. And they have a huge contingent of volunteers that help do maintenance, they plant trees, they develop trails, and they raise money. And I think you could look at groups like Friends of Daisy. We're not a 501c3 yet, but there's always an opportunity to partner with Parks and Recreation Foundation. I think you've got a group of people out there that are willing to put their shoulder to the wheel, so to speak, and try to find ways to make the camp available. Now, that kind of development is going to take time. And I've had several private groups talk to me, two business people that wanted to look at it. One wanted to make it available for children with disabilities to use as a camp and give them an opportunity to learn skills like mowing grass and so forth. But when they looked at purchasing the price, or at the purchase price, and the task of amortizing that purchase price against the revenue that could be raised, it's a big hill to climb. And so it only works with the numbers if somebody can purchase the ground and then use the operating money to break even. But if you're trying to pay off the debt on it, that's why the private buyers have backed away, because the numbers just don't work out. But if it's a public use project, and I've been out there, I don't know how many times, with kids teaching canoeing in the lake, going hiking, overnight camps. I worked with Mr. Chandler at Fidelity Bank, and he was kind enough to give us the $100,000 to revamp Chandler House. You can use that facility around. And I believe that with leasing contracts, concessionaires to use the horse barn, the property as is a great park. You know, with over time, if you can put it in some kind of a fund where it sort of smooths itself out from year to year, you may not find it being immediately breaking even. But I think over time it does. And it's my understanding from talking with one of the, either the foundation staff or the park staff, that you have some properties on those revolving kind of things where you have 3 years and they keep the money going in for the 3 years, and that helps smooth out any operating costs. The expenses that they listed, the Girl Scout Council, for the last year of operation were $176,000, but that included a full-time staff person that lived out there. You've got a house that can be rented that will bring in revenue, but when you dive into that, the gas, water, garbage, recycling, telephone, repairs and maintenance, janitorial, landscaping, all of that was $74,000. So that's doable to generate enough revenue to cover that. We had 100 ideas all written down. I can provide them. The newspaper said you need a plan. I can help you put that together. There are a lot of people who are willing to assist with this, but if that property is sold and broken up and divided up and becomes just another development, or the worst thing is that it just sits there and deteriorates, I think the county will be the loser. Whoever had the foresight to look at what happens up in the Shawnee County Community Center, that's you guys, prior commission, I'm sure, but that is a wonderful property, but it was an old, dilapidated nursing home when it was acquired, and it was developed over time, and the usage on it has just grown tremendously. I think you'll see the same thing. We had people from Dover Pride that were involved with us in this Friends of Daisy group trying to look at it, and it's just it's an opportunity, and I'm asking you to be visionaries about thinking about land use and protecting that property, not just for the Girl Scouts, because the Girl Scouts can use it, but for the residents of Shawnee County, and maintaining it for a long time. So with that, I've talked too much. I'll answer any questions you might have, and thank you for indulging me with the time this morning.
Absolutely. Any questions for Joan?
Thank you for being here.
Yeah. Joan, I might just add that all of the local Girl Scouts have just been a joy to work with. And there's no ill will towards the local Girl Scouts. It's just been frustrating when you have a council that's not here, that they don't have the same sense of community pride that we do.
I share that. I worked with them for about 8 months after I went off the national board to develop a new outdoor program. And we did, and Camp Daisy was supposed to be the place where we do residential. And they, at their board level, with nobody from Topeka on it, decided to do this. And I can't tell you how angry and how hurt and disappointed a lot of people were. But I still support the Girl Scouts. I will always support them. And I'm just trying to see that we maintain in Shawnee County a property that has meant a great deal to thousands of people, not for nostalgia, but for the kids who are coming in the future. For the kids who are coming in the future. Thank you.
Joan, hold on just a second. I know that a lot of these improvements were made with dollars from this community. They were not,
most of
them, right?
Most of them.
They were not from the
No.
the
No, we
council level.
went out and raised the money for this.
Right. And so I guess, back in the fall when, it was unfortunate that the Girl Scouts announced that they were going to close this camp as a result of poor management, in my opinion, of the camp. And it was that fact that happened in the fall, and the lack of anybody saying that they would donate that land. Because, again, these improvements were made by the people in this community.
They were.
So, but then it was in the fall again. We had just finished our budget. We had just finished everything and plans for 2018. So the timing was tough. But I know we're just starting our budget for 2019.
And I appreciate that. I have understood that.
I know you have.
I am not
Yeah.
here to cast blame on anybody for decisions that have been made. I'm just here to try to alert you to an opportunity with your 19 budget that's coming, money in the foundation that perhaps could be used to fund its purchase. I will share with you very briefly one conversation that I had with the CEO. We thought things were moving in a positive direction right after Christmas. And she even came down here and met Shelley with you and me. And she was prepared to negotiate with the county. She was prepared to look at, and I told her numerous times, I said, these folks don't have top dollar money to pay you, but they can pay you some, and they may have to finance it, and they can't do it out of this year's budget. So she was ready to negotiate, but I don't think anybody from Shawnee County has contacted her. And if you can, except maybe to get access to that camp. But if you could open those negotiations, I think they see that it's better for everybody that it become a public facility rather than a private facility or a nightmare that's just sitting out there as a target for kids to ride their four-wheelers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
I am Dorothy Bryan from Auburn, Kansas. I sit the president's seat on the council for Auburn. I was given the information at our city council meeting on Monday night concerning Camp Daisy, and so I did a little investigating on my own. And the thing is that it is broke down into 4 quadrants. I understand that. I understand that the population in the 4 quadrants is not the same. Our quadrant 3 is the fastest growing quadrant in Shawnee County. We are the largest quadrant. Our income levels are the highest down in southwest Shawnee County, but yet we have the lowest number of parks in the entire area. Now, there was one study that showed that we participated or we visited our parks in Shawnee County less than any other quadrant, and that's because we have the least amount of activities in our area. Camp Daisy would offer us the opportunity to actually do something great that Shawnee County doesn't have right now. We don't have an outdoor place for kids to go. We went to Shawnee County last night to watch a baseball game for the kids. Beautiful facilities, wonderful sidewalks. But it's not the good old-fashioned rough outdoors that we are looking for. So what I am asking, and I understand that, budgets, believe me, budgets are a problem. But there's nothing else like Camp Daisy. Let's call it something else. Let's call it the Great Outdoors. Let's call it the Great Outdoors because that's more fun. Because we'll have to change the name of it anyway. I looked at the master plan for the Parks and Recs, and at 1.3.3 it says that we need to create a balance of park types in each quadrant of the county. There is no other type of park like this. We need, on 1.3.7, it says we need to identify and acquire land to preserve and enhance access to natural resources, open spaces, and outdoor recreation. And of course, in 2.1.5, it says there is an overwhelming concern over the lack of parks and facilities in west and southwest quadrant of Shawnee County. We don't have it down there, but we can. We have this great opportunity to get the kids involved, get the parents involved. There are walking trails, hiking trails. You know the drill. There's the splash park. We can do retreats, the fishing lake, day camps. You can rent the facilities, have cookouts, campouts. Tornado shelters are already in place, just in case. They've thought of everything. They've invested so much, and we get it for a fraction of that cost. Yes, I know it's going to take a lot to get it up and going and to get a plan going for this, but the first step is to purchase this land, and then we can make a decision. Then we can go ahead. We've got great people out there in this country, or in the part of the country. It's a bargain. It's a turnkey operation right now by itself. I would love to be able to go out there with my kids. I've never stepped foot on the property. I wasn't a Girl Scout. I was a country kid. This is my opportunity to take my grandkids out, have a good time, have a good day. I love walking. I love hiking. We can't do that much anywhere else. But yet we can rent the facilities out there and have a great time. It's right on the edge of the Flint Hills. It's 155 acres of prime real estate that we can actually enjoy as a whole county. Bring the city kids out, okay? Let's teach them to identify trees by the bark and by the leaves. Let's teach them about bugs. Let's teach them that it's okay not to kill a snake just because they're afraid of it. It's a garter snake. It's safe. It's good. We can live with that. Teach them the difference between poison ivy and Virginia creeper. These are things that the kids aren't going to know unless we can get them out there to day camps and let them experience it, how to start a fire, how to make those foil packets with the food in them, how to put a worm on a fish hook. City kids aren't going to get that. How to use a blade of brass as a whistle. Do you know how to do that? Yeah? Yeah, there's a few people that know how to make those. This is our future. Let's make the great outdoors part of Shawnee County Parks and Rec. We won't be disappointed. And if it doesn't work out, here's the best part, folks. If it doesn't work out, you can sell it and make a profit. 5 years down the road, if this doesn't work for you, we're done. We're done. You can sell it. We tried. Dover's a great community. Auburn's a great community. Dover Pride, a bunch of young mothers, raised $60,000 for a playground. And then those families and their husbands and tractors and farm equipment, they put together that equipment because they couldn't afford to have it done professionally. The people are out there to help make this work, guys. Don't waste this great opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Carol Marple, and I agree with everything that's been said. I wanted to ask a question, which I realize that you don't always respond to questions. It seems like the big stumbling block has been that we have not had a department head to put this on the agenda, but I do recall that I have seen agenda items with county commissioners' names on it, and so I wondered if that was possible. That is my question. I also want to take just a second, because it's been referenced, this morning's paper was just an absolute wonderful commentary about Camp Daisy. I don't know who wrote it, but I think they said everything I would like to say, and they said it in a with much better words. So I would like to take just a couple of minutes and read just part of it. I'm going to start with all due respect to the county and the Scouts, perhaps the time has come to stop asking so many questions and start taking action. More than 5 months have passed since the camps closed, and summer break will soon be here. Sometimes it takes courage to do the right thing. Given the Count's beloved status in the community, there is a compelling argument for the Parks and Rec Department to take a lead in saving the camp. Perhaps other interested parties in the community would be involved. Ultimately, residents young and old should be able to enjoy the space. All the recent improvements shouldn't go to waste. Camp Daisy Hyman has been a part of the fabric of our life in the country for nearly 90 years. We should be prepared soon to answer the question, what will we do with Camp Daisy? And I believe that this is an opportunity that the county will never have again, and we need to, it's time. We need to step up to the plate. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Good morning again, Commissioners. Joseph Ledbetter, and I am here as a member of the Advisory Board for Parks and Rec. I agree with nearly everything that was just said, and certainly with the paper, and I have no idea who wrote that. I had contacted them last week about doing an op-ed, but I never got contacted back, so somebody wrote it, and it may be better than what I would have written. Last night we had a JADO meeting, and as a co-chair place, and I spoke on one of the agenda items about how important it is to have quality of life, quality of place in this community. You know, talking to Matt, who runs Go Topeka, he says that 15 years ago, he would not have seen this change it's really a sea change in economic development that's occurring today. But what people want is a quality of place to live. They want quality of life. They want Parks and Rec, and that is borne out in the surveys. You cannot go wrong funding Parks and Rec at this time. This is a winner. I'll get to the camp. I'm talking about Parks and Rec in general, and you all have seen that. You come forward, we've taken reserve money, and we're going to get caught up on a lot of the deficient maintenance that your Parks and Rec Advisory has been talking about for the last year that I've been on. And I've had this ample opportunity of a year to learn a lot about the Parks and Rec budget, about the problems, and about the vision and the future. I think the only concern I've got with Parks and Rec at this time, besides getting the adequate funding, which I will help them do, and I've told John, I said, John, I am a friend. Friends sometimes criticize. Friends will prod you. Friends will prod you to do the right thing. They'll prod you not to do the wrong thing. We're not talking about the wrong thing here today. We're talking about the right thing. Vision. We've had presidents put on Mount Rushmore because they had vision. Jefferson, the vision to buy the Louisiana Purchase. This land right here was worth 14 cents an acre under that visionary contract that man did with a foreign country. I think it was Madison bought Florida for $10 million. It's nothing but swampland, right? Look at it today. The one I quoted the other day, Alaska, 2 cents an acre. Isn't it good to to not have everybody stand, all rise. There's no judge here, but all rise. Anyway. Aren't we glad we don't have Putin staring down at us from Alaska today? I mean, if nothing else, think of that. What Alaska's probably worth in just guesstimates is probably at least $12 trillion, and that's probably conservative. And I'm sure there are countries that would step up and buy it in a heartbeat if it were for sale, and it's not, and it never will be. It's America. Just like Camp Daisy's America. Camp Daisy's part of Shawnee County. Last night, Mr. Cook was having some discussion about an RFP for getting internet service citywide, countywide, and he said, we need to have the public speak on this. We need to have the public come forward and be part of this process. And I agree, Mr. Cook. And I agree that the public needs to be part of this process. Yesterday, I took more time out for this, which is fine. I'm a volunteer, and some volunteers may get in your way, and some may actually blaze a trail for you. That's up to you to decide how you receive those reports, and we've given you reports about this camp and how you take what they have to say. But there is a lot of experience on that board. There's 2 Juris Doctorates. Terry Roberts and I have worked on this. We've got an engineer. He absolutely confirmed everything I saw, that the infrastructure is in excellent shape, and the underground is in excellent shape. Something this county would never have to pay for, other than routine maintenance if this was bought. One of the things that came up in a conversation yesterday that I had with John Knight, and he spent an hour, I think an hour and 10 minutes. Is that about right, John?
Seems like more.
I know. And you know, at the end of it, I said, I know it's intense to sit with me in anything for an hour. I know. And Terry said, you know, it's just who you are, Joe. It's very passionate. I ask a lot of questions. And best of all, I remember the answers. And so I gave John an idea, which I will not discuss publicly, but I did talk to him. I said, I believe we can get at least $100,000 up front if we buy this, by just thinking some different ways. And he said he had not thought of that, and that's fine. But the more interesting part of the conversation was, I said, John, there's 2 facilities out there that are rentable today. And he disagreed about how much people would want them. So I'm going to discuss what they are. You've got a dining hall with a commercial kitchen that seats about 200 people. I said, this is absolutely rentable compared to any of your shelter houses. I said, I think we can conservatively get, placing a bid amount, I think we can get $500 a day. He thought because of the remoteness, we could not. I said, John, that is exactly why people would do it. They want a view of the lake. They want to be out in the country. The dormitory, which was refurbished, has capacity for about 20 people. It also has a meeting room upstairs. I believe there's a fireplace, I recall. It's a very nice facility. I said, this facility can rent for $500 a day. He said, it's too far out. And I don't think they really have anything like that in the system. In fact, I know they don't. They don't have one of these types of facilities. But, you know, for corporate retreats, a view of the lake, if people want to do church camps, youth group camps, you know, maybe 500's a little steep, maybe it could be 400. I don't know. There could be some adjustments, but I gave him an idea and a plan, and then Terry Roberts brought up some festivals that they're not doing now, and John said, yeah, we need to do some of these outdoor festivals. That's in a plan. I said, well, here we go. Here's a place. And she thought, so, you know, several tens of thousands could be raised doing that. I also talked about renting out the horse facility. I said, even $1,000 a month, there's probably somebody that would do this. If not, We could talk to 4-H. We can talk to 4-H clubs about it. And it would probably be seasonal. I'm not saying they would do that more than a few months out of the year, but it's a way to generate revenue. I said, what we have not even begun to touch is the volunteer hours that would be volunteered out here. The Department of Corrections, a guy out in the hall, I don't know his name, I'm sorry. He said, hey, we could probably get some work camps. Not a work camp, but work crews, excuse me. No, I did not say that. I retract that. Some work, yeah, we don't need go logs or anything like that. They've got those in North Korea. We simply, he said, you know, we could have some work crews come out and probably help you if the county does this. And by the way, I did find out that his budget is twice what Parks and Rec's budget is. And remember, Parks and Rec earns $5 million of their $13 million budget from fees. So really, we're only subsidizing Parks and Rec at $8 million a year, which is pretty small since you took over a whole nother system from the city and you're operating what you already had. That's pretty light, in my opinion. And that's just from my training as an MPA, okay, with KU. So, and looking at a lot of budgets. So, what came out of the conversation with John, a couple things I want to bring up. And I'm not trying to put him on the spot, I'm simply reflecting out loud on the record what's been discussed. There is a business plan. They had one, and I discussed with John parts I read. I said, you've got too much into programs and not enough into nature. What the people want is nature. And he said, we could look at this, but May's our busiest month. We just don't have time. And he says, I need direction from the county commissioners. Now, he's not going to tell you that, but I will. And I'm telling you that as the advisory council to Parks and Rec. We need direction, besides no, from the county commission. I want to reiterate some of what the master plan is called for. Create a balance of parks in each quadrant of the county. This area of the county is sorely deficient. It was given to you in a PowerPoint, but in quadrant 3, which the lady from Auburn, council member, said is the fastest growing quadrant of this county, population-wise, 150,000 visits to the parks in that area. Quadrant 2, which is the next lowest, has almost 3 times that because they have more facilities. And of course, the lake has 1.5 million, Lake Shawnee. Create a balance of parks in each quadrant of the county. Identify and acquire land to preserve and enhance access to natural resources, open spaces, and outdoor recreation. That plus playground equipment is what I hear the most from young people. They want their kids to have playgrounds in their neighborhoods. These neighborhood parks are absolutely important to this community, but they want to have some green space to take their kids out into nature. Not everybody owns a farm. Not everybody has access to private land. In fact, most people don't. And I think that's one of the beauties of the American system versus the European system, where so much is off limits and so much is either owned by the crown or it's just off limits to the public. But America's never been that way. We have set aside resources in great national parks, great areas of nature, so people can visit them. And just go look at how many people travel to national parks, most of them not super developed. In fact, the Devil's Tower Monument, which I think is cool, they don't even have showers. That's why I only stay there a day at a time. I say, yeah, I gotta have a shower. But it's a great facility. It's undeveloped. And that's just one of hundreds, well, at least dozens of national monuments and parks.
Mr. Ledbetter,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
sorry, we don't have a time limit like the city does, but
Oh.
you went for 20 minutes on Monday, and we've gone for 15 minutes, and much of what you've said today is what we said on Monday, but is there something new?
Yeah, I did just give you a new
I know you
conversation I had
have.
with the Parks and
You
Rec
have.
director
But
yesterday.
I mean, we're getting back into the stuff we talked about on Monday, so I appreciate what you said, but I don't mean to cut you off. I just want to make sure.
I
we're aware.
can stand down right now if that's the pleasure of the board.
But I do appreciate all of your comments, and they are pertinent to the subject. And the research you've done, the work that you've done, does warrant more discussion with Parks and Rec Director. But
Well, may I give you one call of action?
Yes.
If I might. Where do we need to go from here? First off, I have talked to Joy Wheeler. She's a very nice lady, and no matter what has happened between her and the Girl Scouts locally, she wants this to be part of Parks and Rec, if you will buy it. I also believe it's probably viable for land price, maybe less. I will tell you that what I've seen is people on the other side willing to negotiate. But you also have a parks director that wants direction from the county commission, according to what I am seeing and according to what I'm hearing. And I'm not trying to put him on the spot. That is not my job. My job is to support Parks and Rec and the county, and that's what I'm doing. The call for action I would like is, Mr. Cook, it's my understanding that you have not seen the park. Is that correct?
I've not gone out with the Parks and Rec Director. I've been there previously,
Okay,
yes.
okay. The second thing is, if everybody has been there, I would like everybody to at least, that's on this board, to see the dining hall and the dormitory and the horse facility, and at least see those so you can understand where some of this revenue could come from to make this park happen. And I really appreciate your indulgence. I did not mean to wear you out with my words, but I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Joe.
All right.
I'm Patsy Congrove, and I live in that underprivileged, underserved. I just want to mention that there are groups out there that are really waiting to raise money to help with the camp and to help provide things for the grounds and for kids that might want to be coming to take out scholarships so that they could attend if you decide to purchase it and to use camps. But we can't raise money until it's purchased. It's sort of like which comes first, the chicken or the egg. And I can tell you right now that we cannot raise the money until it's purchased and the county has made some commitment. But there are people out there, there are groups out there that are willing to do it. I've taken a pencil to some fundraisers that we would host as Friends of Daisy, and I know the money that could be raised fairly easily. So again, thank you for listening to all of us, that you've been very kind and very patient, and I hope that you will continue to pursue this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other members of the public? Commissioner Bueller, anything?
I believe in the context of discussion of our budget, that our total budget, Parks and Rec's budget, is July 9th at 10 o'clock to continue, or at least have this discussion. And again, within the context of our entire budget. We as county commissioners are not just responsible for one department, but for all departments. And so what we do in one department affects all those other departments. So I think I look forward to that discussion to continue at the Parks and Rec budget presentation.
Commissioner Archer, anything?
Yeah, and I do too, but I think the theme that we're getting is that next year will be too late. And we do. Frankly, we've got $6 million of excess reserves that have not been committed at this point. So...
3.
Okay, 3. So that's another thought that I guess should be pondered. But I think 2019 will be too late to do anything. And if we're going to consider this at all, we need to do it now. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I might note that if the members of the public, your Girl Scouts, reach out to your nationals, tell them if they're serious, this can't be a New York decision. When you've got a New York leader trying to apply New York values to Shawnee County, it doesn't work. And that means if you're going to charge above market value for a camp, that's probably not reasonable. We might have an interest in a camp, but we're not going to pay above market value. That's my view as a commissioner. And it won't have the deed restrictions that limit what we could do with the camp. We have to have a responsibility to our taxpayers, and that goes for all of our entities and all of the opportunities. There are other camps in Shawnee County that have approached Parks and Rec, and just the short time that Commissioner Archer and I have been on the board, there have been 7 different opportunities of groups that have asked us to consider taking them over or acquiring them. And we've passed on a lot of them because financially we have a responsibility to the taxpayers. And we have to be able to endeavor those to make sure that they make sense for all of our constituents, not just one district, but the entire county. I know our county councilor is engaged in conversations with the Girl Scouts to purchase. If there's a more reasonable approach from the Girl Scouts, we're open to talk. So, Ms. Marple?
Can I make another comment to your comment?
Sure.
I would like to say that Joy Wheeler is housed in Kansas City. And I was not, and I don't think anybody else here was aware of the fact that anybody had contacted Ms. Wheeler about discussing, and I'm just saying discussing. It's just like anything. Before you buy something, you always have discussion. So I was not aware, and if that is the case, I'm really glad to hear that there's going to be some open dialogue. And I do agree with Commissioner Archer. July is too late. These folks have waited for us for quite a while. And I do believe we need to get in, well, to start moving on it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, our next item.
Executive session?
There is not a need for an executive session today. However, we are going to take a 10-minute break, coming back at 10:30 to start a work session regarding the renovations to the Expo Center. Our contractor, HTK, needed some input from the county regarding that renovation. So we're going to take a 10-minute break, coming back at 10:30. Thank you.
Need to adjourn this meeting.
This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.